북한은 이미 과거 우주 발사체를 가장한 장거리 로켓 시험 발사를 통해 단 분리 기술을 확보해 왔습니다.
북한이 위성 발사라는 명분으로 포장을 하고 있지만 탄도미사일 기술을 활용한 발사는 안보리 결의 위반으로
북한이 주장하는 인공위성 발사 행위를 사실상의 미사일 발사 시험으로 규정하고
그동안 미사일 ICBM 발사하면서 결국 위성과 ICBM의 기본 원리는 같기 때문에
That was the understanding of North Korea's space program up until 2017. They now regularly test ICBM-class missiles, sometimes over Japan, most of the time into the East Sea or Sea of Japan. So that's no longer necessarily a guise or a cover that they need to use to test ICBM technology.
Yes, we should be concerned. If they can successfully orbit an Earth observation satellite and they can download the information, they will have timely information about forces, about ground facilities, things of that nature.
They have a number of universities, including the Kimchek University of Technology, that really represent a high-level commitment by the state to improving science and technology. At the same time, it's a single university that engages in a fair amount of international cooperation. The scale of that activity is nothing like what we see in the United States. There are sanctions, there are just general lack of resources. I think there is a general challenge of high-quality education throughout the country, and they just don't have the access to resources that we have in the West.
The US government has been operating satellites for a long time. They have an immense experience, incredibly exquisite camera systems that can take very high resolution imagery. What we're doing doesn't compete with that because it's not as big satellites, they're smaller. But what it can is have more cameras in more places, so you have a breadth of understanding.
Do you think North Korea will be a potential competitor?
Some news from overseas. Kim Jong-un said that North Korea's first military spy satellite is ready for launch. Keep in mind, a North Korean spy satellite is just a GoPro on a tennis ball.
In the world today, the western part of the world, we have an agreement that we will not collect satellite imagery at a better resolution than 30 centimeters.
The resolution levels, you can see different types of activity. So when you're looking at like 3 meters, we can see buildings, we can see trench work, we can see large vehicles moving. You have to remember that it's 3 meters per pixel, so you would have to have a large vehicle to catch these types of activities. And then for 50 to 30, you can start making out masses of people. At 30, you can probably make out the shadows of smaller groups of individuals. You can make out cars, small minor details on cars.
The most popular resolution for commercial satellite imagery is approximately 1 meter or better. The best imagery available today is 30 centimeter resolution. One can assume that the US government and foreign friendly governments can do much better than that.
We still maintain a capability that we had several years back, and we're still operating the very large school bus size intelligence imagery spacecraft, and then you've got other countries that have lesser capability. I mean, for instance, the balloon imagery that was being done by the PRC quite literally reflects the fact that their reconnaissance capability from space is limited. Mm-hmm. It is not of the quality that we have in our large school bus size satellite.
So this is a high-res satellite image that was provided to the president probably in his briefings in the morning, showing the president what had happened at the Imam Khomeini Space Launch Center in Iran. But the resolution that he tweeted in that image was incredibly high. In fact, it's probably one of the highest publicly published satellite images that I can think of. So we almost never, probably never get images of this resolution of such a sensitive type of activity specifically happening in an adversarial state. You generally don't want to share these things because the Iranians will look at this and then realize, okay, the Americans can see to at least this degree, so they can start to mask activities at this degree of resolution to try to hide the Americans or hide their activities from American intelligence. And what that shows is, to a greater or lesser extent, the resolution that the U.S. government can take of places halfway around the world.
We have strong information that raises a suspicion, but no one yet knows for sure, at least in our camp, what the facility is and what its intended purpose is specifically. But it raises a strong suspicion. We need access to it.
정부는 영변 5메가와트 원자로와 관련한 움직임을 예의주시하고 있으며 북한이 추가적인 재처리를 의도하고 있다면 이에 대해 심각한 우려를 표명하지 않을 수 없습니다.
먼저 핵 포기란 비핵화란 없으며 그를 위한 그 어떤 협상도 그 공중에서 서로 맞바꿀 흥정물도 없습니다.
Right now, as I look at their satellite program, you see gradual development, gradual improvement. It has some failures in communications and everything, but they move forward.
They're not starting from scratch. They're not reinventing the wheel. Now we have a whole large booming industry of private companies who are launching satellites in space. So if these corporations can do it, North Korea should be able to notionally do it as well. Probably not initially to the same degree of sophistication. What we're looking at, they might launch in the next month or two, or maybe a little bit further out.
We continue to watch, again, North Korea try to advance their capabilities. What I can tell you is that we never take anything for granted, but that President Biden is committed to making sure that the United States maintains a strong capability in space, and that we work with other like-minded nations to try to develop rules of the road, international norms for behavior in space.
Do you think North Korea will be a potential competitor?
No.